Richard Spisak, reading in the mountains of Tennessee, my poem Pen or Pencil. Write in pencil, for all that's true. As for mine, I strike with ink. To capture what my muse does bring, I follow the star in desert and mountain, and never quibble with her glorious fountain. Like foresters of old, deep in drink foretold, oh, then lost in some darkened wooded glen be bold. But let me say again, my gentle friend, whom I to thee this marvelous missive send, if thou wouldst prefer the pencil then, for its subtle shading, I say, shun the pen. But by my beard, or least its stubble, then thou shouldst its speeding path be doubled. Wield the pencil merry when thou dost start, and avoid trouble. No rumor double of thy very dear heart's missives I'll never chide, or speak dismissive of my bride. This has been Pen or Pencil by Richard Spisak in the mountains of Tennessee. Awful and Terrible by Rick Spisak. Awful and terrible offered themselves which to consider. Was I in love? Terrible offered a plate of bad food. He was plain ridiculous. Man, he was rude. Then there was Awful. He wanted to help, but damn, he was crooked in league with big bankers, the wankers, insurance, endurance, in spite of himself. Awful was full of business as usual, same old lame old tricks to confuse you. Terrible, he was a banging the pots and the pans, mischievous and thuggery. Man, he opened the can. 12 kinds of devils. They was armed and up to no good, storming the White House. Up the hill they knocked over justice. In the Senate they stood. Awful ain't seen nothing. An incrementalist he. No need to rush out. Just slow down and murdering he. Now let's don't rush to judgment, said old King Awful. Sure there's injustice, but I checked. It's lawful. Terrible's a robber. Sets all his rats loose. They stolen the engine and now the caboose. Sure people need health care. They're buried in debt. And Awful replies, but the rich has rights too. You must be patient. Rest your eyes. Close your eyes. You rest too. Terrible's got guns. He'd throw open the prisons. Then he'd round up all the liberals and throw them within 'em. The Pentagon's in riot. They burn in the cash. What's left of the safety net? Old Awful just slashed. Terrible ain't waiting. He's rounded up an army. But Awful's holding fire. He said, let's not get alarmy. Terrible, he's marching at the head of his army. Awful's having a presser. All disgusting and charming. Which of these idiots does we want in charge? I'm hoping for fairness. Ain't she out there at large? Rick Spisak. Awful and Terrible. Prana, unstoppable, energy dancing, all life enhancing, weaving and leaving through the ages and sages complete, through the seat of the chakras, the heat breathing seethes, the breath of life moves through and loosens, the wavering tones that roam through each stone and each plant, seeds inevitably through the dry and the damp, the veritable spiritual dance of unstoppable life, beyond peace, beyond strife. It marks and jars the stars and springs, the ringing birds singing song, unwavering, long. It ripples the laughing brook and leaps and leaks through the books. It moves the frog on the log, the fish darts
at its wish and hums in the dragonfly's sparkling wing, ever and always linking body and mind refined, the sweetest golden energy divine. The ring of cymbals, the ever moving, singing wind spins and dances, leaps, enhances across the earth, never stops and fractures the face of rocks, the shocks, the path the rabbit laugh hops, the dancing of a million children's frocks, a glassing fracture of frost, the shocking cost of rocks, the impenetrating energy, enervating symphony, the surges and sheiks, the retreats and rocks with every heart beats, and soars with the falling leaves call, and the leaping frogs splash, Numa the flow in, and in Polynesian it's mana that sustains and flows through all the force, of course, in sci-fi lingo's worth. The universal impenetrating energy called by so many names, because it is the flow uncapturable. Yet we always chase after the indescribable, the undefinable rapture, though eternally, reliably the tide of life, and know it and note it when gone beyond sense. Form finds in its flux enough to coax a structure apparent, dancing dust in trust, and beyond the eternal spinning thrust, the balanced dance of galaxies in balanced trance, whether named as prana, chi, or ki, it shall forever, never captured or bottled be. Namaste.
Virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is a thing just to somehow gain all those would-be saints the big brass ring. If virtue to you is somehow a kind of bummer, well, old friend, just get in line and take a number. The implication is, my friend, you're just posing, and if that's the thing that you're nosing, but you old stick, don't give a hang. You're just out there doing your own thing. If it looks like virtue, and sounds like it too, well, after all, isn't that what we're all supposed to do? Pick up litter, feed the poor, care for the planet, be a good citizen, and maybe a little more? Why not participate in We the People? Don't just hide out in some neighborhood steeple. The people's government needs your voice, but if you're too busy to share your views, don't be surprised at the daily news. And vote, too. Not just once every 4 years round. Share your perspective. Who knows what'll be found of the people, by the people. No enemy here. But if your views are secret, what's not clear? In the exchange of ideas, we might all learn. Then perhaps your neighbor's views might not give you a turn. Love your neighbor like yourself. Don't advocate for some damn evil elf. Signal virtue in civic life. Isn't its purpose just to reduce strife? But whether those who disparage virtue end up in Dante's inner circle, will they like compassion then, or will they hope for such gentle signals, friend? I just heard a zealot denouncing virtue signaling, saying it anti-racists are the thing. Don't aim for virtue, lead the way, no matter what the hostiles want to say. But if you aim for a better world, and even your banners say those worlds, isn't virtue signaling a thing? And what exactly does its opposite bring? Virtue signaling. Virtue signaling alternative. Oh, those liberals, they try to say we should strike a plainer, saner path today. Sure, that's nice. What they have then, not men, but mice. Virtue signaling makes me laugh. They all dislike and hate the same as me. They just conceal it to make fun of me. They just pretend they're better, see? Better than you and better than me.
clean the planet, save the whales. Do they have any bleeding, broken idea what that entails? They say, treat animals nicer. I say, stick 'em on the grill and serve 'em hot and spicier. They claim to like their fellow man. That's the stuff I cannot stand. Don't drive fast and please don't litter. Virtue signaling, well, for me, I'm no quitter. So I like my noisy guns, and that's exactly my idea of fun. And as far as school kids getting shot by guns, it's exercise. I say they better be quick and learn to run. All this talk of treating women fairer. What I need's a meeker housewife, and that's far, far rarer. They say, don't make fun of broken people. That's just not who I am. I'm just better. Damn, I don't live in some kind of steeple. I sort of equally hate all the people. And all the homeless, it's just too bad. What? And that's supposed to make me sad? All them decorated with garbage. These, then, I'm not supposed to disparage? Virtue signaling.
My name is Richard Spisak. I'm a poet living in Appalachia, the beautiful old Appalachian Mountains, and I offer you this poem. It's called Bubble Up. From a deep and silent place, I bubble up, rising from the royal blue to the goddess above. I bubble up. 1,000 artesian wells pouring forth from the silent earth. I bubble up, reaching through the layers of sea, layers of warmth, layers of silent cool. I bubble up, listening to the beloved call from the goddess in love. I bubble up, rising from the valley to the peak, from the root to the tree. I bubble up, rising from the depths to the surface, rising from the earth to the air. I bubble up, rising on a million bubbles of hope, bubbles of words of light. I bubble up, rising from your toes to your feet, filling you with swirling light, rising from your legs to your spine. I bubble up, filling your arms, filling your neck, each hair extended. I bubble up, rising through your spine in kundalini time. I bubble up, filling you from toe to fingertip with a billion bubbles of light. I bubble up, your entire form charmed in light, your entire being in delight of star fire. I bubble up, our light merging, our souls surging, Doppler shifts to blue. We bubble up, showers of iridescent blue sapphire, iridescent puddles, seething galaxies of ecstasy. We bubble up. Thank you. Hi, I'm Rick Spisak. I'm a poet and playwright in the mountains of Tennessee, and I'd like to offer you this poem. It's called The Wascally Wirus. Wascally Wirus. Oh, Omicron, who's got time for Omicron? Watching, waiting, dusk to dawn shaking, guard my friends from Omicron's taking. Wear your mask and hide your frown, lest your next fashion, with some distraction, you might wear a hospital gown. Ere you young or ere ye old, you've all been targeted by that wascally virus thug, Omicron. Omicron's in a cough. Omicron, we've had enough. Omicron, in a breeze, or carried by the birdless sneeze. shanghaied from across the doggy's fleas? Would you fly from Omicron, or are you watchful dusk to dawn, visited by that rascal terrorizer? Pull up your mask if you're the wiser. Don't leave your nose a hanging geyser. Don't spray and play, you atomizer, just to launch the virus invader, a fountain splashing indicator. Lest our world come all crashing and the medical staff relapsing, dashing, protect us. Those of you who will acknowledge, as long as you've studied in school or college, just to have these fools confront you as they sneering would denounce you, only later to admit it, all that crap that they're saying is shit. Just so the vaccine they've been delaying with those anti-vax they've been conveying, so much trash they've piled up, all cometh crumbling, tumbling, mossum poison from their cup. How would you please all their stinking lies clean up this as you wear your unmasked surprise? Rick Spisak, accompanied by the charming and talented Linda on the music drum. This is entitled SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, an orbital poem for the technologically advanced. Can your biorhythms cancel REM sleep? Can your cholesterol metabolism content be counting sheep? Do your misdirected melanomas marvel at the leak? Would you mind if I wrote offline on video varnished sleep? Would your documented study object, you recollect? Without reflection, review detection, marvel at the sight. Would your quoted survey walk the robot dog tonight? Batteries of flattery flaunt, the heat printer saunters to taunt, whispering casually, printing passionately, warming his ribbon cables over wrapped royal solar collectors, cables rainbowed in reclination, spiral data decollage detection. Does the paper curl just right? Sticky edges, curving, breaking right. Would your quoted survey walk the robot dog tonight? Would you wise to wander? Could your kind and candor keep the feeling fonder? Does the digital founder keep parallel data aligned? Would your quoted survey walk the robot dog tonight? Communications miracles help you remember those zip codes, while giant commercial conglomerates rank the urban air at nodes. Do your cancer studies relate to urban blight? Hold the precious candle higher with its light. Would your quoted survey walk the robot dog tonight? Watching airliners plunge with turbulent wind shear, while underrated radar stains to ping. Who was that? Where? Demobilizing scout ships on radar action screens. Has the battery obliged to spread the surging electric leap? Would your quoted survey walk the robot dog tonight? Stellar lasers mount the rings of accelerator paths. Mega computers spend the day writing Uncle Sam's bank drafts. Super calculators on rapid oxidators give the raiders something warm. Has the calm bestowed the swarm? Inching ever closer, nearer to the norm. Hear the walking catfish heading for the door. Don't let them out there wander, trilling colors, regimental soar. Hydrogen alert, bore right here in micro-activated mirth. Would your quoted survey walk the robot dog tonight? From 7370 Allen Drive, a poetry collection.
At the loss, at the cost, after the loss of death and what is left, at the joys of girls and boys, at the fools and all their rules, at the price they call nice, at war and what's more, what's in store,
at the silence allowing all that violence, at the rumors of the tumors, at the cost and the loss of our friends, at our expected expended ends. The uses of humor.
The Little Crab, a defense of mankind. How you conjure this epic contest between this tiny hard thing shaking his clumsy articulated defiance against the immense, limitless, all-penetrating, implacable sea. And when finally overwhelmed, he swims only to climb another shiny rock for the whole struggle to begin anew. How we must root for this tiny, defiant spirit, undaunted by his overwhelming and inexhaustible foe. How like resilient mankind I find this tiny mismatched crab. How undefeated, just like man, when facing eternity. Rick Spisak.
Love. Aphrodite on the internet half shell. Partially emerged from the tiny text carvings, a mind illumined. Sweet thoughts, like berries on a hot summer afternoon, pressed to my mind's lips, staining in joy and wonder tiny characters bearing such weighted thoughts. Can I caress the brain who hears this electron ferried caring? Can I touch the fingertips with this typing as these words land gently in your mind, floating like Monet's lilies on our newness? Rippling words, do this small service. Press to your cool hand to her brow, trace her chin with this line, rest soft like feathers, stroke her hand where mine might, were distance and time less real, or thought like lightning beyond space, the time I spend in your mind and I in yours, such atomic beginnings in the rumble of electronic typing's thunder. Aphrodite on the internet half shell. This is something we all get to know very well. I've been a writer who's been writing at 3 a.m. For about 40 years. So 3 a.m. written just last night at 3 a.m. With 3 a.m. I'm well acquainted. Thus say some, my night is tainted. Watch this hour, you may be confused, consumed by silence or ill-used, or by silence oppressed, your night perhaps tainted when you undress. Fancy, says I walk amidst those dreamers in their dreams possessed. In their dreamy fog they are similarly dressed, and yet all nights passed in quietude, though now I'm possessed in my solitude. I pluck from all these dreams a little magic, sometimes as if to weaken their journey, which could be tragic. I borrow some magic from their roiling chains, they'll never miss it, while sleep has seized the awesome bewitched brains. I will trail and trace these whips of magic as I stroll the place. Figuratively, I steal it from their dreams. A little madness here, a smidge of droll I might embrace. Lo, these many decades in my midnight ride, sometimes with gypsy pixies I will collide. Out to do their mischief, so intent are they, charging there amidst the dreamers, so conjure they. I, like a dream catcher, will my special woven net steal a little of their magic too, with these fine fingers set. So as I dream, my dreamers' tales they'll oft possess, a little of the master's joy, I must confess.
I never count the minutes lost or missed or even unruly. I think of my magic midnight march as a duty, happy truly. These harvesting from dreams a noble haunt, delivered to these hungry ears, yet these fables flaunt. Embedded in this magic, these wisps of dreams, who can definitively measure out a yard of unruly schemes? Thank you, my friends. Thank you so very much. Talk to you at 3 a.m.
Once again, another round of applause, please, for Rick.